Welcome to Three Questions with. I'm Hugo, publisher of the Latino News Network and your host. Three Questions With is a public affairs program elevating the voices and visibility of matters most important to the Hispanic Latino community by speaking with community and industry thought leaders on the social determinants of health and democracy. According to recent reports, the Latino economy is now valued at $3.2 trillion, up from $2.8 trillion in 2020. If Latinos were an independent country, their GDP would rank ahead of the UK, India, and France. The growth of the Latino economy is because more Latinos are becoming entrepreneurs, starting businesses and creating jobs. The Latino community must take ownership of its future to ensure this growth continues, says Jaime di Paulo, president and CEO of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. IHCC's mission is to cultivate knowledge, connections, and collaboration to effect transformative social change and achieve sustainable economic impact through entrepreneurship. Jaime di Paulo is our guest today. Jaime, welcome to the program.
Thank you, Hugo, for having me. It's a pleasure.
So let's start talking by talking about the IHCC. Tell us about the organization.
Yeah, the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce is the largest business chamber, not just in the city of Chicago, but across the state and the Midwest. We are an organization that believes in government contracting is the future for our community. So we focus a lot of our programs in procurement and access to capital and everything you need to do to start a business. For example, we have a small business development center. The idea there is you come in with an idea and you walk out with the businesses and everything you need to do that business and start it on the right foot, we have for you at no cost to you. We have an APEX, which is the former Procurement Technical Assistance Center that helps minority-owned companies get certified so they can access government contracts. Because keep in mind that U.S. government at all levels is the largest consumer in the world. So there's no reason why Latinos should have a piece of the pie. So we do that day in and day out. We also have programs that we actually walk the business corridors, talk to people, partner with banks, and because not every bank is suited for different businesses. So we have many partners and then we take those ideas and those partners to the communities and just make them stronger.
We were talking before the program started about the wealth that Latinos are creating, but not benefiting from in regards to developing wealth for the future, right? Foundational wealth and the such. A lot of these businesses are shoebox budgets. They're really working in a cash business. How does IHCC help them and be more strategic about their current business for the short term and the long term?
So let me just give you some facts. In the city of Chicago, for example, 64% of our businesses are less than 10 employees. So from the get-go, we're not growing. We're not creating generational wealth. We're not creating jobs. So we are, when you look at all the stats and they say Latinos the fifth largest economy in the world, but what does that mean? Our communities are falling apart. They're getting gentrified. There's no influx of dollars coming into our communities because our businesses are not growing. So it's our job as chambers of commerce and many other groups to make sure they get the resources so those businesses start growing and creating jobs and employment so we can develop our own supply chain. If we don't do that, we're going to keep being the employers and the workers, the consumers and the workers, I'm sorry.
And some of that has to do with the barriers that currently exist that IHCC is working to bust through. What are some of those barriers to access to getting investment, the capital to do their work, but also the networks that they need to integrate with in order to achieve those goals? Well,
this is. If you're a Latino, if you ask for a loan in the bank, you got less chances than a white male counterpart to do. I mean, 60% of the time, the white male is going to get that loan. So you have to go way beyond and develop those partnerships with other banks. For example, credit unions are becoming to be a big players. So chambers of commerce in your neighborhoods or us or any other chamber or any business group have the resources or the relationship with the right banking institution is going to give you that loan. As I said, we need to learn as community the beauty of the United States is that they figure out how to use other people's money, and that's the key. our community needs to learn how to use other people's money. What I mean by that is loans from banking institutions. That's what makes America great, because you don't let it. Usually a Latino, when they open up a business, they put the life savings into the business. The other group don't. They ask for loans. They don't jeopardize their future. They don't jeopardize their homes or their patrimony. They ask for loans. That's why we gotta. That's what makes what the white economy good and Latinos not so good, because they don't. We have to learn how to use other people's money, which is banking institutions.
And that's a really important point, right? Not using your own money, but looking for loans. As someone who works directly with these small businesses, some of it is coming from perhaps even culture, right? A lot of Main Street are businesses that are from immigrants that come to the United States to realize their dreams. How do you talk to them and educate them about, no, you stop using your money, jeopardizing your future, go get a loan? How do you walk them through that cultural barrier?
Well, it's an educational process. Just to make an organization legal, for example, a limited liability company, it gives you the opportunity not to risk your patrimony. You just risk what you have in your business. So, for example, you open up a restaurant. Chances are it's not going to be successful. 80% of the restaurants that open in the United States close down within 3 years. So if you let it all ride, there goes your college, there goes your house, and everything else. So you're doing a disservice to your kids. So get educated. Come to the chambers. We will get you the right tools so you can start your business with the right foot.
Great. So IHCC is a member of the Illinois Latino Agenda. Now talking about the second topic. Tell me about this organization. You said to me this was born at the height of the pandemic, or during the pandemic, this coalition of different businesses coming together. Tell us about the origins of the ILA and the mission of the organization.
Yeah, the Illinois Latino Agenda was born out of the pandemic, because there was a group of nonprofit groups that started realizing that Latinos were not getting vaccinated, and they were getting sick, and they were dying in their homes because the lack of services in our communities. So that's how we started meeting every Friday morning, and we started addressing this issue. And because of that, I want to take credit. We became the largest vaccinated group in the city, which is a good thing. And then we just kept meeting, even though I'm in the business, and we have housing groups, we have immigration groups, you name it, we have in this coalition. But at the end of the day, we're here to move the Latino agenda, which is representation.
Representation is key, especially as you mentioned, when we were in the height of the pandemic, not getting the right information, not getting the information in Spanish, where a large portion of the Latino community is Spanish dominant. Now we also started talking about the need for equitable representation, right? Electeds that not only look like us, but also have a shared experience in order to be able to effectively make decisions that are representative of the needs of the community. Tell us about ILA in working to get the community to be civically involved, as well as getting candidates that are reflective of our community.
That's right. I mean, the number one thing is getting people out to vote, as we talked before. That's the key of the success of a democracy, is to make sure people vote. So we are lacking on that. We're working on it, and hopefully, new generations are doing the fact. If you look at the data, Major Johnson was elected basically by the youth. So that's the key. We got to educate our youth to go out and vote, regardless who they vote for. We just got to make sure they vote. Now, we also got to assimilate our community. We are 1/3 of the city of Chicago, so every third elected official should be Latino or Latina. There's no reason why not. So we got to make sure we owe it to our community as members of leadership in the community, like these groups and the Illinois Latino Agenda. We are a bunch of leaders that really care for our community, and we got to move our agenda forward regardless.
One of the things that of late that has affected the Latino community, and really all communities in not only the city of Chicago and Cook County, has been the migrant crisis, right? The large numbers of asylum seekers, of immigrants that have been bused from the southern border. One of the responses, or the main response that the Brandon Johnson administration is going to enact, are these tents throughout the cities, especially because of the low temperatures during the winter. Tell us about the ILA and their position in regards to this response, and in working with newcomers.
You got to give it up for Mayor Johnson on this one. He really cares, and he really wants to embrace the new wave of immigrants coming into the city of Chicago by default. I mean, what they're doing in Texas is bad news. But once we have them here, we got to embrace them. We got to teach them how to work. We got to get that's the future of our workforce. In 10 years, Texas is going to be they're going to feel sorry because they actually shipped their workforce out to the city of Chicago, New York, and many others. So we have to embrace that, and we're going to create programs as entrepreneurs, apprentice programs to teach these people how to do the right thing, because that's the future of the workforce in Chicago. I mean, it's sad to see the families sleeping on police stations. I mean, this is the United States. This is the number one economy in the world. There's no reason why those people should not have a fair housing. I mean, we have a house. We have an issue on housing here in the city of Chicago. And what the Mayor Johnson's trying to do is just, it's a Band-Aid to the issue. I mean, this is a whole effort by the community as a whole. But as the ILA, we care about those people. They're our own. I mean, they're Latinos and Latinas. We came the same way, kind of. So we might as well embrace them and look at the future of the workforce.
Yeah,
you have them right there.
And look, I think you're right. The Latino Policy Forum, which of course works with ILA, is part of ILA. Last year came up with a report that without the immigrant community, the population growth of the state of Illinois would have declined. As you said, we have a job shortage, or not a job shortage. We have an employment shortage, and here are workers that are coming here that can fill slots. And there's a lot of processes in regards to getting them permits to work. There was one criticism in regards to how Latino and people of color, immigrants, are treated versus immigrants that are white. And most recently, we've seen an influx of immigrants from the Ukraine because, of course, the war with Russia, in regards to getting them work permits, place to live. Can you share with us from an ILA perspective in regards to the treatment of immigrants that are largely Latino versus what we've seen in regards to support and opportunities for immigrants from Ukraine? Again, if we look at the need from immigrants from Ukraine, unquestionable. But similarly, the need from immigrants that are coming largely from Venezuela, asylum seekers.
Well, it's a disservice to our community. I mean, it's time to go, and like I told you before, we are a nice community. We ask, we got to start demanding the same treatment as the other groups. But on the other hand, I'm not an attorney. The Ukrainians and the people from Europe come in with a refugee status, and the status of the new immigrants is asylum seekers. So I think there's a difference. These people cannot work because if they start working, then the case gets thrown out and they get deported. That's the reason why they're not working. I mean, there's plenty of them working out there in our communities. If you walk into a restaurant, they're actually working, but they're not saying anything because if they get busted, they're out. So you need to push the federal government to push those permits for working so we can start developing the workforce we need to address those openings and jobs that you talked about. I mean, but it is sad to see, the Ukrainian family have an apartment. They have, they get scholarships. They get a loan for a vehicle and all these things, and then you see our community, our Latinos, sleeping on police stations. This is the United States, we're counting out loud. This is the number one economy in the world, and we got Latinos sleeping on police stations. That's the sad part.
You're watching Three Questions with Jaime di Paulo, CEO and President of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. When we come back, we're going to talk to Jaime about being an immigrant to the United States from Mexico and how that's influencing the work that he's doing.
I'm Jamira Alexander, inviting you to join me for the season finale of Public Narrative, A Word. Black joy, from personal experience, I can say there's just nothing like it. And for upcoming guests, Sandria Washington and Dr. Samantha Coleman, it's something that became a journey upon learning that they were adopted. Catch the conversation Thursday, December 7th at 7 p.m. on CanTV, Cable Channel 19, and streaming on cantv.org and the CanTV Plus app.
We've been talking to Jaime di Paulo, President and CEO of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, about cultivating knowledge, connections, and collaboration to effect transformational social change and achieve sustainable economic impact through entrepreneurship. Now, te vamos a conocer un poquito más. Tú eres de Mexico, un inmigrante who came to the United States and Chicago, I think you mentioned to me 10 years ago. Tell us about that experience and tell us about how that's helping fuel the work that you're doing with not only IHCC, but also ILA.
Well, yes, I was born and raised in Guadalajara, Mexico. My father was American, Italian. So I came to Chicago 10 years ago, and my history is working in economic development. But I do have a master's degree in Chicano studies, so I see the social side of the issue. So I can connect with people in the University of Colorado that they're not necessarily business owners. So I think I bring a perspective of both sides of the table, because people seem to think businesses are the bad guys. Businesses don't care about the community, but I see it the other way around. So, I think my experience and my journey has prepared me to be in this position, which is the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, that I need the listeners or the viewers to know that we are one of the largest chambers in the country, in personnel and in budget and in programming. So it's because of my life experience and the support I get from the board of directors.
You've been here for 10 years, and I'm curious, when you came, a lot of what we're talking about now in regards to the country is the political climate. I think it not only in recently, but I think in earnest with the election of Donald Trump and this continuous divide of far left and far right. Now we are in the next presidential cycle. Next year, we'll be electing another president. As someone who's come from abroad and kind of lived through Obama and then Trump and has seen sort of this change in the last 10 years politically, do you see it as is the political climate a detriment to Latino businesses and other businesses, or is it doesn't matter, it's really about the economy?
Well, it is about the economy, but we need to find a common ground here. I mean, this people seem to think the Republicans care more about businesses than Democrats. That's not true. We got to find people in the middle that can help us, that can help both agendas. At the end of the day, that we lost that. From many presidents ago. Even, Obama kind of was in the middle a little bit, but then Trump came and everything became like either left or right. There's no in between. So we got to make sure in the next election, we elect someone who's going to help everybody, like in the middle, right? Because we care about families. The Republicans claim, we're the family party. Well, Democrats care about family too. So it's it benefits all to find common ground.
The other thing we talked about that I think is poignant, we've talked about examples for the Latino community when it comes to not only small businesses but also pushing our agenda. And we talked about the African American community and what they've done in regards to politically, economically, culturally. We talked about the Jewish community doing the same. And one of the things that you said that was really interesting that you do that I think is really important and we need to do more of is investing in our own businesses where, yes, you won't go shopping to the big stores. You'll go to a local store and that might cost you a little bit more, but you're investing in these community anchor businesses. Tell us about that.
Well, I believe that the small businesses are the anchor of the heart of the communities. If the businesses go from the community goes. And we've seen case, like for example, in the south side of Chicago, it's a food desert. If you heard about the crime, it's because of that. We have no anchor there that's going to unite the community. And normally is the business. For example, Little Village, right? Little Village is what it is because of the business culture there, right? So in my example, I love to shop local. I rather give my dollar to a Latino than anybody else. So I go out of my way to go for a cleaners, for example. I drive 10 miles to take my suit to a Mexican cleaner because I think that guy deserves my dollar, right? Instead of somebody else. So I encourage people to shop local. When a small business grows, the community grows with you. It's a known fact that when a small business in the community hires, they hire within 2 miles within the business is located. So the more money people have in their pockets, the more money they're going to spend in the businesses around that area. So it's key the support of people to support small businesses. The big box stores, the Big W, those guys, they're going to be fine. But, make sure you support small businesses. And I'm not discouraging you to go to the big stores, but, if you can find it in your neighborhood, buy it there. You might be talking to your neighbor as the cashier. How cool is that? You're talking neighborhood gossip, right? When you walk into a business locally, you don't get those in the box stores.
Absolutely, and there's a trickle effect because in supporting these anchor businesses, then you're also supporting other resources like better schools, better parks, and a better way of life, as opposed to exporting, your that revenue to other neighborhoods that might they look nicer because guess what?
That's
you're
right.
investing in those neighborhoods and not in where
right.
you live. Jaime, thank you so much for your time. It's been a wonderful time well spent. Thank you for all of your insights.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
You've been watching Jaime di Paulo, President and CEO of the Illinois Hispanic Chamber of Commerce. When we come back, La Última Palabra, my final thoughts on supporting Latino businesses.
Joining me on the next episode of Every Day is a Yay is my good friend Alfie.
My support system, spirituality.
Got you.
In a lot of ways, I feel like spirituality helps me through it all. God is at the peak, and I do believe that God sent people specifically for me.
Join the conversation Thursdays at 7:30 p.m. on CanTV Cable Channel 19 and streaming on cantv.org and the CanTV Plus app. Experience the power of community television.
And now, La Última Palabra, the last word on supporting Latino small businesses. Latino small businesses are the backbone of many local economies, contributing significantly to job creation, innovation, and community development. Despite facing numerous challenges, these businesses have shown resilience and determination, reflecting the entrepreneurial spirit of the Latino community. Supporting Latino companies are not just a matter of social justice or diversity, it is an investment in the economic prosperity and vibrancy of our communities. Latino-owned businesses are one of the fastest-growing entrepreneurial segments in the United States. According to a report by the U.S. Hispanic Chamber of Commerce, Latino companies contribute to over $700 billion to the American economy each year. In Illinois, Latinos have the highest labor force participation rate of any racial or ethnic group, and they represent the fastest-growing segment of spending power, a total of $68 billion. Despite this, they often face significant barriers to accessing capital, networks, and resources, limiting their growth potential. Supporting these businesses can help unlock the untapped potential driving local and national economic growth. Latino small businesses are significant job creators. They hire locally, contributing to lower unemployment rates and more vibrant communities. However, these businesses often operate on thin margins, and any disruption can lead to layoffs. Supporting Latino businesses can help safeguard these jobs and create new opportunities for growth and development. Supporting Latino companies is also a practical way to promote diversity and inclusion. It helps ensure that the business landscape reflects the diversity of the community it serves. Latino businesses often cater to unique market niches, offering products and services tailored to the Latino community's needs and preferences. By supporting these companies, we can help foster a more inclusive and representative economy. Latino small businesses often play a vital role in community development. These businesses are more likely to give back to their communities, whether by sponsoring local events, supporting local charities, or simply being a gathering place for the community. By supporting them, we can strengthen these community ties and promote social cohesion. Supporting Latino small businesses is a win-win situation. It helps drive economic growth, create jobs, promote diversity and inclusion, and strengthen communities. However, support should come in more than just a form of patronage. Policies must be implemented to give Latino businesses easier access to capital, business networks, and resources. These businesses have much to offer, and with the proper support, they can reach their full potential, benefiting not just the Latino community, but the broader society as well. And that does it for this edition of 3 Questions With, a collaboration of Illinois Latino News and CAN TV. LNN is dedicated to best serving Hispanic Latinos with local multimedia news and information websites across the U.S., including Illinois Latino News, a statewide community-focused initiative. I invite you to look us up on our websites and chat with us via social media. Tell us what you think about the topics we talked about today, and please send me suggestions about what you think we should talk about in the future. Because of the Latino News Network, you are more than just our audience. You are our contributors. I'm Hugo. Thank you all for watching.